Porsche 911. It's one of the most legendary and prestigious sports cars in the history of the automobile. With every single generation, they constantly improve upon this rear-engine sports car formula. Today we are driving a 997.1. This is a 2008 model year 911 C4S. C4S stands for Carrera 4S. 4 means all-wheel drive, S means bigger engine, a little more power. Some of the performance options are standardized. It's the more sport-oriented Carrera model. I was actually thinking before I got in this car, of all the 911s I've driven, they've only been GT3, GT3 RSs, Turbo, and Turbo S's, which is kind of strange. I've actually never gotten to drive a Carrera 4S, a Carrera GTS, anything in this lineup, and I'm really excited to finally get to try out a 997 generation C4S. So the 997 is split into the 997.1 and the 997.2. This is the final year of the 997.1. From a powertrain perspective, it has a 3.8 liter flat six engine mounted in the back. That engine made 350 horsepower, all naturally aspirated. All-wheel drive system could send in between 5 to 40% of the power to the front axle. Now, with the 997.1, the transmission choices were pretty important. You could either have a 6-speed manual, as this one is equipped, or it was a 5-speed automatic Tiptronic transmission. You could not get the PDK dual clutch until the 0.2. So if you were to purchase a 0.1 gen car like this one, definitely with the manual transmission. Let's talk about the exterior styling of the Porsche 911. So for better or for worse, the styling doesn't really change much from generation to generation, and to the casual bystander, even to some basic car enthusiasts, they cannot tell the difference between different Porsches, especially between different generations. To them, a 993, 996, 997, 991, it's all the same. And they certainly cannot tell the difference between a 997.1 and a 997.2. So between generation and generation, it stays largely the same. That's not to say it's not a good-looking car. I think the 911 is one of the most iconic looking styles out there. When you see it, you'd be like, okay, that's a Porsche. You definitely know what it looks like. I really like in the 997, they've gone back to like the circular headlights, none of that runny egg type of thing from the 996 generation. One of the best parts of the C4S is you get the widened rear bodywork. It's really aggressive. The wheel arches flare out. It allows it to have 305 section rear tires. Those are wide 305s in the back. But it looks really good. The Turbo actually gets the same bodywork in the back width-wise as the C4S. On the inside, it's a little more on the basic side. You get the kind of the signature 5-dial dash in front of you, the tachometer right in the middle, your speedometer, all your temperature, coolant stuff, a couple minor display screens. The center is very basic with the buttons, but Porsche they've always been kind of like this on the inside. Minimalistic, good quality materials, good build quality, but it's not going to have all this fancy kind of stuff going on. It's all about the driving experience. That's what I love about every single Porsche I ever drive. You get the overwhelming feeling that everything is so well engineered, so well designed, it goes together so perfectly, and it's so rewarding to drive. At whatever speed you're going at, you will enjoy it. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I've been lucky to experience a lot of really high-end 911s. And obviously a GT3, a Turbo S are going to be amazing. They cost a lot of money too. But what's the experience of something like a Carrera 4S, something that's more mid-level in the 911 lineup? So far, I'm pretty impressed. I am very happy this has a manual transmission. It's got a nice heavy weighted clutch. The shifter feel is excellent. You very deliberate shift. You know when you're going into gear. That flat six enjoys being revved out. It actually, with the 3.8, makes a good amount of torque for a naturally aspirated motor. Revs to just over 7,000 RPM. 350 horsepower might not sound like a ton of power, especially by today's standards, but this car is also pretty light. In the low 3,000, 3,200, 3,400 pound range is what I believe the C4S weighs in at. And it doesn't have all the crazy electronic stuff. It has some basic tech there. It's got the as standard PASM, the active suspension management system. Some other really cool features I actually was reading up about. The C4S has something where it actively pre-stages the brakes under heavy driving, and it reduces the distance between your pads and rotors for a faster brake response. But talking with Collin, the owner of this car, and what he really likes about it and what I've started to experience driving it is the very analog and mechanical feel to it. Everything you feel connected to everything. It's not like you don't have brake-by-wire, all that weird electronic stuff that's in the modern cars now. The steering is very direct. The shifter is amazing. You rev Oh, downshifts are great. This is just a great, fun sports car to drive. If we talk about the values, specifically of the 997 generation C4S, I think it's really good. You can get these anywhere between $40,000 to $55,000 depending on mileage, specific year, condition, options. This car specifically has 63,000 miles. It's got a couple minor squeaks and rattles because it's had a long life in Michigan and the road's stuck in Michigan, but it still feels great to drive. It looks good. It's been very enjoyable to experience. Now, the 997 generation went from, I believe it launched in 2005, up through, this is the last year of the 997.1, so 08, then 09, all the way to 2012 was the 997 generation. So there's a lot of stuff to choose for in between. There are different trim levels. You can go, if you want a Porsche still, you go down into something like a 996 Turbo, a little bit older. Personally, I like the updated mid-cycle refresh cars, the 997.2s with the newer headlights, some changes to the lights in the back too, and the interior. But given that this is the C4S, you get all-wheel drive, you get the widened bodywork of wider tires, you get standard performance things like the Porsche Active Suspension Management System, 6-speed manual, a more powerful, stronger 3.8-liter flat six that likes to rev out to 7,000 RPM. It sounds great. It's got the classic Porsche styling to it. I think it's an excellent choice if you're looking for a car in this price range that you want to just get in and put a smile on your face with enjoying the feeling of driving a mechanical vehicle. So there we go. My first time driving a kind of non-top tier GT3 turbo level 911. It's a couple generation old 997 Carrera 4S, and I am very, very happy that I loved it. Everything about the Porsche dynamics, the DNA, kind of was still instilled. You could feel it here. No, it doesn't rev quite as high as GT3. It's not as fast as a Turbo S, but it still has that same feeling that you're in a Porsche 911 sports car. I loved it. I enjoyed it. It's a great manual transmission experience. It's got that Porsche DNA to it, even though it's a couple generations old. I really, really enjoyed this car. I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching.